Faust in the program.
It's Faust in the program. Well, that's my fault. Oh.
No, it's not. It's fine.
Okay, I'm Jaden Crawford. I'm an English major with a minor in history, and I came from the fires of the pit, like Faust with damnation. I work at a barbecue place. We have a smoke pit. pit. Let's get started. Okay. Motivating force for damnation in Doctor Faustus is free will. The Tragical History of Doctor Faustus by Christopher Marlowe is a tragic play detailing the fall into hell of the scholar the piece is named after, Doctor Faustus. By summoning a devil and offering soul to Lucifer and all the dark powers of brimstone and fallen angels, Faustus removes himself from God's light and ensures the demise of his soul and in the eternal agony of the hell that the same devil he summoned warns him about. It would be simple to say Dr. Faust is a powerless agent, tossed between the cosmic forces of demons and the God who denies him the salvation his soul craves. This, though, misses a critical element underpinning the play's characterization. In damnation, there is will. Faust's doom is a painful folly, but it was his. By his choices and thinking, by his ability to find for himself who he is, what he would be, is his damnation achieved. His damnation becomes unique to his character, and the tragical history of Dr. Faustus, his damnation is not solely a punishment. Marlowe used damnation to explore the importance of free will, and how what a person chooses not to do reveals the personality of that person as a human being full of a unique will. It is the actions not choosing the same stuff from his doom that reveals the personality of Faustus. Our play begins with establishing the massive ego and earned status of Faustus. From the beginning, Marlowe puts the pride in his knowledge and skill center in Dr. Faustus' characterization. He's a master of medicine, versed in logic, learned in many disciplines. In all the fields of great study, Faust has attained heights of peak achievement, and Marlowe makes sure this is hammered into the play with Faust reciting in grandiose manner his accomplishments. The way he frames this litany of victory in academic fields carries a subtext of not just pride, but also dissatisfaction. Begin quote, "Settle thy studies, Faustus, and begin to sound the depths of that thou wilt profess, having commenced, be a divine in show, yet level at the end of every art, and live in and die in Aristotle's works. Sweet analytics, 'tis thou hast ravaged me, is to dispute well logic's chiefest end, afford this art no greater miracle. The end of physic is our body's health. Why, Faustus, hast thou not attained that end? Is not thy common talk sound aphorisms? Yet thou art still but Faustus and a man. Wouldst thou make man to live eternally, or being dead raise them to life again?" End quote. Faustus masters the writings of the ancient scholars such as Aristotle, pursues his medical arts to the best of his capacity. It is not enough. From the first two pages, the play presents Faustus as a person whose pride is not content to rest on his laurels. As he says of logic, can it give him anything more than to make good arguments? Marlowe uses the phrase, "affords this art no greater miracle," the word miracle adding a magical quality to the knowledge Faust seeks. He has learned much, but he is frustrated with the reality that knowledge faces limits on the power it can grant a scholar. Though he understands the depth of Aristotle and has mastered the creation and administration of medicine, he is stymied in practical result. The medical arts cannot guarantee life or cure that greatest of harms, death, nor can the employment of logic and conversation alter anything except minds. These are all astounding feats, yet they lack a greater influence. Marlowe's Faust doesn't simply want knowledge. He wants to transform knowledge into ultimate action. He wants to transform knowledge into ultimate power. Not just to know learned words, but to use those words to command reality. In his pride, Faustus is not content with having knowledge of things. He wants to take that learning and convert it into magical force over the world in the theme of will. Marlowe has laid the seed of the primary characteristics that pushes Faust to damnation. Besides his overwhelming pride, Faust is driven by an exceptional search for superhuman excellence. He seeks a kind of knowledge only a god could have. With the limitations of normal scholarly learning pressed against him now, Faust turns to the magical arts in pursuit of the realization of greater feats. He studies the symbols of the occult, begin quote, "These metaphysics of magicians and necromantic books are heavenly. Lines, circles, signs, letters, and characters. These are those that Faust most desires. Oh, what a world of profit and delight, of power, of honor, of omnipotence is promised to the studious artisan." End quote. In the introduction to the play, before Faust meets the demon Mephistopheles, he announces the promised reward of magical arts to the magician. In the litany of praise he gives, that I've just quoted, he gives an impression of a man not content to be only a scholar. In the discovery of arcane knowledge, Marlowe reveals Faust has a desire for a glorious power to exceed that of royalty. The scholar whose arts, while praised, lack the force to directly alter reality would become an emperor of the weather and obtain the mental might of a deity. Faust compares himself to the domain of monarchs and proposes to be greater because nor can they raise the wind nor rend the clouds, while Faustus would have his mind push as a magician to equal the power of a god which a monarch cannot achieve. A pattern established in the play from this. Faust has cerebral prowess aplenty, yet feels this requires a complementary direct physical authority through magic. Faust yearns for a power that can use to affect and shape the world. In particular, Marlowe writes Faust as one manipulation of the weather as a means of being greater than the rulers of nations. The pride that pushes Faustus to be the best also makes him wish to be more than one. Having mastered all there is in normal knowledge, Faustus finds that prior wisdom lacking. Faustus' thinking then posed the question, what good is the scholar's understanding of the world if that understanding yields no mastery over any of the elements of the world? It is this greedy, prideful audacity that propels Faustus to summon the demon Mephistopheles. In the Conjuring of the Demon Mephistopheles, the character of Faust is shown to revere earthly command over that famous art wherein all nature's treasury is contained. Be thou on earth as Jove is to the sky, Lord and commander of these elements, unquote. And he does so in such a way as to reject and start to sever the connection between him and God. To summon the devil Mephistopheles, Marlowe has Faust perform profane sacrifice and prayer in circles inscribed with the inverted names of the holy Genova and misused application of the power of fallen saints. A blasphemy capstone by him performing the sign of the cross and the spilling of holy water in the bastardization of a normally sacred ritual. The knowledge of the scholar is bent toward the manipulation of the divine. Faust's use of sacred symbology transforms the celestial meaning of these holy names into instruments of magic's art. And by extension, a manifestation of Faust's core character, of his pride in his knowledge and the desire to improve it. In particular, Faust's use of magic requires purposeful intellect and careful action. He must write down the circle, begin quote, figures of every adjunct to the heavens and characters of signs and erring stars by which the spirits are enforced to rise, end quote. However, there is a twist to this exertion of mystical command by mastery of the strongest consonants. Faust believes he has compelled Mephistopheles to appear, only for the demon to reveal that this is untrue. The incantations of Faust wield no enchantment over the will of Mephistopheles. Marlowe has created a flaw in the ego of Faust. While the summoning ceremony requires knowing the names of the Trinity and the intent to twist and mangle them, the act does not possess the ability to magically enthrall the demon that is summoned. Yet, even though Faust is told this directly by the devil he is invited with his blasphemy, he continues the summoning. When faced with a threat to his immortal soul, Faust sees not danger but opportunity. Marlowe's tragic protagonist feels no fear. It is with a scornful bravery mark himself as a greater character than the devil he summoned. Faust makes the claim, quote, what is great Mephistopheles so passionate? For being deprived of the joys of heaven, learn thou of Faustus' manly fortitude and scorn those joys thou never shalt possess. Faust's character here is endemic of the personality that pushes him step by step toward damnation. As he thought kings lesser than what he would do with his magic, so in the same way does he find a way to be greater than a devil. Mephistopheles' warnings about the loss of heaven is a weakness to the great pride of Faustus. Marlowe has Faustus warned in order to make the fault for his coming tragedy all his. Faust does not fall into sin. Sin arises from who he is. What's interesting about the way Faustus' flaws are written is how they aren't new additions gained over the course of the story. They are foundational to Faust. Marlowe could have had the magician friends of Faust lure him into magic, and so doing inflate him with ego and confidence, instill the feeling of pride as a corruption of an otherwise noble scholar. Marlowe doesn't take this route. He has the character of Faust begin as self-assured and ignorant. The very first pages of the play are a litany of accomplishments Faust finds no satisfaction in because they can't match his towering ambitions. Marlowe sets up the damnation of Faust to follow the path of choices made from his personal will. Rather than falling into temptation, Faust strides into it. The theme of choice pursues the character of Faust, defining his course as his deal with devil Mephistopheles comes into fruition without guile or lies. Before the contract is ever brought before Faust, Mephistopheles wails about the loss of heaven in the first meeting magician. For in the words of the conjured demon, he and his brethren are, quote, unhappy spirits that fell with Lucifer, conspired against our God with Lucifer, and are forever damned with Lucifer, end quote. In examining the motions of Mephistopheles, emphasis focused on Marlowe's use of two particular elements in the construction of the dialogue. Mephistopheles says to Faustus, Mephistopheles, the avowed enemy of God and foe of all that is holy, does not claim glory or happiness for his fallen brethren. He says of the hosts who battled with Lucifer in the war in heaven nothing praiseworthy. They are unhappy and forever damned. The second aspect of Mephistopheles' speech, which is notable, is how he hints at blaming Lucifer for the sorry state of he and the other damned angels. They fell with Lucifer, conspire against their God with Lucifer, and are forever damned with Lucifer. Marlowe repeats the pattern of Lucifer twice. He has softly tie Lucifer to the failure and damnation of fallen angels through implication.
Jake, can you slow down?
Gotcha.
We're not catching it all.
Gotcha. It's the nerves.
I know,
They're
right,
rocking
I know,
my body.
I know.
In contrast to Mephistopheles offering to bind Faustus' soul to the Lord of Hell. If you want, I'll give you like a switch for my mouth. Mephistopheles lays out in his speech on the torments of hell and his account of the war in heaven clearly that he and all the other demons of that tragic endeavor were defeated and lessened by their actions. After this, he will commit to keeping Faust faithful to the contract he wants him to sign with intimidation and gifts, but before he could ever do that, he was truthful about the pain of damnation. Yet even with these warnings established, Faust takes the deal. He is not misled nor tricked into signing the contract. He knows the price because the demon offering take his soul spilled on the pain of damnation. Faust's action is one of free will determined by what he personally wants and is willing to wager. His reluctance to consider the consequences as worth considering as an indication of inner character. There's a resolution to Faust when he sets his path which shows what he desires and how he's a creature of those desires. Before he meets with Mephistopheles a second time to seal the bargain for his soul, he thinks to himself on his actions and what justifies them. Quote, "Now, Faustus, must thou needs be damned and canst thou not be saved? What boots it then to think of God or heaven, despair in God and trust in Beelzebub? Now go not backwards, no, Faustus, be resolute. Why waverest thou? Oh, something soundeth in mine ears. Observe this magic, turn to God, and Faustus will turn to God again. To God heed thee not, the God thou servest is thy no appetite, wherein is fixed the love of Beelzebub. To him I'll build an altar and a church, and offer lukewarm blood of newborn babes." End quote. In this soliloquy, thank you. Marlowe's Faust expresses a pattern of thinking seen before in influencing his choices. Before, when he rebuked the sorrow of Mephistopheles, he boasted of manly fortitude in the face of the spiritual danger from hell. And now in this speech, he commands himself to be resolute in his choice of action. Marlowe shows Faust as a man of determined, if foolish will, taking pride in having a stronger sense of commitment than Mephistopheles, and with inclination to going forward for ambition, even at the price of future peril. Marlowe's writing captures the core essence of the kind of personality that would pick damnation. As he has Faust say, the true deity of Faustus' heart, the God thou servest is thine own appetite. For all the gnashing and wailing and mournful speeches on self-destruction he later does, he is falling into that. There is no true force in play by Mephistopheles or the other demons to keep Faust in debt to hell, with his soul as a collateral. Time and time again, the good angel pleads and prays for Faust to leave his path, yet he doesn't. This cannot be fully blamed on Mephistopheles, as the arguments Faust applies to himself in order to stay the bounds of his contract rely on him ignoring the warned danger in the form of the promised rewards for the diabolism. Where fear should weaken his resolve, pride reinforces his course. Earthly power, respect, command of mystical forces to turn knowledge into physical force. Throughout the course of the play, Faustus' free will remains central to his path of damnation. According to the scholar Margaret Ann O'Brien in her article, Christian Belief in Doctor Faustus, Faust's free will remains capable of agency to move away from his damnation because, quote, Faustus still has a chance for redemption while Mephistopheles is damned hopelessly. The Summa explains that the possibility of repentance is determined by the manner of intellectual apprehension of principles at the time of choice. Since angels apprehend first principles, their wills become fixed in their choice once the decision is made. Because the human will follows limited apprehension through sense knowledge and particular goods, its will remains flexible even after choice. At death, however, the human will becomes immobile to its final choice. End quote. Faustus' limited perceptions and ability as a human being compared to an angel means there is no predetermined fate guiding him into hell. Whereas Mephistopheles is doomed in his fall from heaven, no such ruin is bound to Faust. Marlowe's characterization of Faust's continual commitment to the terms of the contract with Mephistopheles should be seen in light of theological texts brought up by Anne O'Brien. With how learned Marlowe was, he would have had knowledge of such an important piece of writing written by Thomas Aquinas, or at least been influenced by its ideas' effects on learned theology. Therefore, if Faustus keeps to Lucifer, he is actively participating in and allowing his damnation. Death is the final fate. Until Faust dies, he is capable of reversing his choice and repenting even until the very last moment. With him unable to do so, is not the fault of the demons he has conjured, but the appetite he keeps. He clings to the powers given by hell, the ability to conjure a demonic wife in the shape of Helen of Troy, the magic to curse a knight who disrespects him, and the spells to torment the Pope. He cannot let go of the ability to perform these feats even at the future cost. The theme of damnation being a matter of self-selected actions is split by Marlowe and how he has Faust's blood hesitate to sign the contract with Mephistopheles. Before Faust can be damned, a legal document is required to relinquish control of his soul from God to Lucifer in hell. In being presented this document, Faust is told to use his blood to write a signature. Faust, however, faces difficulty as his blood stalls to give him time to repent and turn from his path. Here is the opportune moment for Faust to rethink his self-destructive actions and redeem his soul to God. And it is in setting up this critical turning point that Marlowe has Faust push the tragic plot forward, taking possession of the actions as his own.
Go ahead and have a seat.
There's a brief instance of introspection over the possibility his blood refusing to flow to force the signature is a sign to stop, but Faust denies it. When Marlowe describes the moment through Faust's dialogue in the scene, Faust's way of framing how he reacts to it reflects the vice-driven, egotistical spirit that has been Faust's character. Quote, "What might the staying of my blood portend? It is unwilling. I should write this bill. Why streams it not that I may write afresh? Faust gives to thee his soul. Ah, there it stayed. Why shouldst thou not? Is not thy soul thy own? Then write again, Faustus gives to thee his soul." End quote. What's interesting about the reaction of Faust is how his feelings aren't of terror, curiosity of the force, what force would halt his bleeding. He's angry, defiance of his choice being stymied. As he says, "Why shouldest thou not? Is not thy soul thy own?" In structuring the play's narrative, Marlowe's writing of Faust is consistently circling around the ability to pick and decide for himself what he wants. Faust expresses a passionate, possessive grip over his free will. The same kind of feelings that motivate him to summon Mephistopheles are what also fuels the importance of being able to control his fate. He questions what could stop him from moving forward, and what could make the choice as his soul belongs to him. In this sense, Marlowe crafts the supernatural tragedy of Faust as a rejection of intervention, even if that outside suggestion, even given in the sight of his blood refusing to flow, is helpful to him. It does not matter that it would be the benefit of Faust, because it does not come from Faust. Faust's will is built on his refusal of other options besides what is fitting to his appetite. It creates a damnation born uniquely from his actions and their consequences. In this, Marlowe makes the story of Faust one of self-perpetuated ruin, but also of defining beliefs and characterizing moments. There's a thread of individuality running like a stream through the bedrock of the play, touching and moving into every facet. And this storytelling makes Faust's tale of his fall to hell for selecting and keeping to the deal he made with Faust of absolutely wrapped up on an ironic fact. Faust is dragged to hell at the end of the play. Marlowe's epilogue laminates his demise with the lines, "Cut is the branch that might have grown full straight, and burned is Apollo's laurel brow." However, Marlowe's writing of Faust portrayed a dynamic self-driven human being who made choices. And though these choices for power, for control of his soul, were to pridefully mock the grief of Mephistopheles over losing heaven, Faust made himself known to the play's audience. Faust's damnation grew and was ultimately decided by the kind of person Faust was at his core. His was a unique damnation, suited to who he was because Marlowe had it built from his free will, by the paths he chose and the salvation he denied. The enduring strength of the play's narrative comes from this. Faust was not tempted nor tricked. He boldly destroyed himself. And in his fall to hell, he was always the epitome of his own will and how its freedom revealed the truth of who someone is.